I am a 28-year-old man from a family with a convoluted and long history of favoritism. My younger sister, Amy, 25, has always been preferred by my parents, especially my dad, over me, starting in our childhood. This partiality only worsened as we grew up. Amy was the golden child from my earliest memories. Our parents threw her an elaborate birthday party, complete with professional face painters, a bouncy castle, and a petting zoo, when I was 5 and she was 2. I had a store-bought cake and a small family supper for my birthday that same year. This set the tone for years to come. The differences became clearer as we aged. Amy always received the newest toys, the best clothes, and the most attention. I recall saving months of allowance for a new bike when I was 10 years old. Amy wanted one too, and when she saw it, she had a fit. Instead of teaching her about patience or saving, my parents immediately bought her an even nicer bike than mine. Another area where the bias was evident was school. My parents attended all of Amy's school functions, while they usually missed mine. I took center stage in the school play in 4th grade, practicing for weeks with great enthusiasm. My parents arrived an hour late on the night of the play, missing my major scene because they were busy consoling Amy after she complained of a stomach ache. In terms of academics, nothing I ever did seemed sufficient. I joined the math club, often received straight A's in middle school, and even took first place in a regional science fair. Yet my parents hardly noticed these successes. They celebrated Amy with a special dinner and bought her a new phone as encouragement when she scored a B+ in her weakest subject. High school was particularly challenging. I worked hard to gain their approval, maintaining a 4.0 GPA and serving as editor of the school newspaper and captain of the debate team. Meanwhile, Amy drifted through school, hardly keeping a C average and spending much of her time hanging out with friends. I was chosen as one of 2 junior year applicants from our university to participate in a prestigious summer program at Harvard. It was such an honor, but my dad grumbled and quickly changed the topic to Amy's upcoming dance performance. When I told my parents about my acceptance at supper, my mother remarked, "That's nice," but moved on quickly. They couldn't even take me to the airport on the night of Amy's concert because they wanted to see her perform. I had to ask a friend's parents for a ride. Another challenging experience was the college application process. I spent months refining my essays, participating in extracurricular activities, and preparing for standardized tests. Several elite colleges accepted me, and I received a significant scholarship to my dream school. When I shared the news with my parents, their reaction was lukewarm. "That's good, but don't let it go to your head," my dad advised. Meanwhile, they praised Amy for barely passing high school and choosing not to attend college, admiring her for knowing herself and defying social expectations. Emotionally, this persistent favoritism affected me deeply throughout my teens and early 20s. I battled anxiety and despair, starting therapy in college. I eventually realized that my parents' actions were not my fault. Years of effort were needed to build my self-esteem and learn to validate myself rather than relying on their approval. Despite the lack of support from my immediate family, I managed to lead a decent life. By the time I graduated from college with honors, I had secured a good job in finance and even purchased my own house by the age of 27. Though my parents weren't proud of what I accomplished, I was. Then the current drama began. My grandfather passed away not too long ago, leaving behind a sizable estate. He was a successful businessman who started from nothing. In his will, he divided his possessions equally among his grandchildren, including me, Amy, and our cousins, as well as his children, my dad, and his siblings. My share of the inheritance was significant, roughly $500,000. It would have allowed me to invest in my future, pay off my student loans, and perhaps even start my own business someday. This unexpected windfall brought me joy, but when the will was read, my parents clearly became agitated. Later, they pulled me aside and expressed their feelings of injustice over my equal portion. Amy, who lives in our parents' basement and works part-time at a coffee shop, claimed she needed the money more since she was struggling. Stunned, I tried to remain calm, clarifying that Grandpa had made this decision and they had no say in how he allocated his estate. They insisted I should act morally and give my portion to Amy. When I declined, they began guilt-tripping me, calling me unappreciative and selfish. My dad brought up every instance where he had helped me, neglecting to mention the car they bought for Amy and the numerous shopping sprees they funded for her. As things escalated, my dad decided to handle the inheritance himself, claiming he was interpreting Grandpa's intentions. He insisted that Grandpa would have wanted to ensure Amy was taken care of, stating that he had privately expressed concern about her future. When I asked why Grandpa hadn't simply written the will that way, my parents had no response. Amy, for her part, was uncomfortable with the situation, but didn't criticize our parents. When I tried to speak with her alone, she shrugged and said, "Mom and Dad know best." Feeling misled and hurt, I reached out to my paternal grandmother, who was deeply upset when I told her what was happening. She informed me that my parents had no authority to alter the will and that this was not what Grandpa had intended. My grandmother sent me materials clarifying the situation. Several years ago, my parents had asked Grandpa to give everything to Amy in his will, but he had firmly refused, believing all his grandchildren should be treated equally. He even included a stipulation in his will stating that anyone challenging the equitable distribution would lose their share. With this knowledge, I confronted my parents. Their reaction to my grandmother's disclosure shocked them. They claimed they were only looking out for Amy's future, but I could see the guilt on their faces. My grandmother acted right away. She got in touch with her will's other executor and attorney. She also contacted my dad's siblings, who shared her equally strong indignation at what he was attempting. Together, they stopped my dad's scheme and ensured that the will would be carried out as stated. Although they were unhappy with me, my parents were obliged to back off. They argued that I should have handled this in-house instead of involving others, accusing me of turning the family against myself. My mother sobbed, lamenting how I had split the family and deceived them. I told them I had never expected anything from them anyway. When my dad threatened to cut me out of their will completely if I accepted the inheritance, they warned that they would break off all communication. My dad even suggested that I wouldn't be welcome in their house if I inherited. In a particularly low blow, my mother remarked that my acceptance of the money revealed that I never truly loved them and was merely ready to profit from their passing. This matter has created a divide in the extended family. Some of my cousins have been encouraging, as they understand the long-standing favoritism and appreciate me for advocating for myself. Others believe I should have yielded to preserve peace, arguing that family harmony comes before financial considerations. Although my dad's siblings are definitely on my side, this has strained their relationship with my parents. Amy finds herself caught in the middle of all this. She confided in me privately that, while she feels bad and didn't ask for this situation, she isn't ready to challenge our parents. She has been conditioned her whole life to depend on them and seek their praise. I don't completely blame her, but a part of me longs for her support just once. This circumstance has resurfaced a lot of past pain and bitterness. I find myself remembering all the times I was overlooked or discounted in favor of Amy, the birthday celebrations I missed, the school functions my parents skipped, and the successes that went unrecognized. This one occurrence seems to be bringing to a head a lifetime of unfairness. Despite the turmoil, a small part of me feels empowered. I am confronting the unfair treatment by my parents for the first time in my life. I am declaring my worth and refusing to be written off. It's both terrible and liberating. Even though I believe I am in the right, the family drama is draining me, something I hadn't experienced since college. I have started having anxiety attacks again. To manage all the stress, I am considering returning to therapy. Should I have refused to comply with my parents' expectations and accepted my inheritance? Should I have simply handed Amy the money to maintain peace? Although I am tired of being the family scapegoat, I fear losing my family completely. Any guidance or perspective would be greatly appreciated. Update: since my first post 6 months ago, a lot has happened. I want to thank everyone for their support and guidance. It has truly kept me strong during these trying circumstances. Let me start with the legal aspect of things. Many of you advised me to see my own attorney, and I did. He confirmed that I had every right to inherit and that what my dad attempted was, in fact, illegal. He helped me document everything and was ready to act legally if needed. Fortunately, things did not escalate to that point. Along with my dad's siblings, my grandmother and her attorney worked out the matters without involving the court. I received my full inheritance, and the will was executed exactly as intended. Due to my dad's manipulation attempts, he was removed as an executor. This was a somewhat challenging process that spanned several weeks. My parents threatened litigation, and there were tense meetings and furious phone calls, but ultimately, the law was clear, and they had to back off. Despite the ongoing family fallout, it has been significant. Initially, my parents doubled down on their viewpoint, accusing me of being greedy and neglectful of my sister. They attempted to mobilize other family members against me, spreading allegations that I had somehow coerced Grandpa into giving me money. Luckily, most of the family saw through their deception. About a month after the will was accepted, there was a particularly unpleasant incident at a family gathering when my parents showed up unannounced at my aunt's house, which she hadn't invited them to. They caused a scene, shouting about how I had taken from Amy and corrupted Grandma against her. My dad claimed I had ruined all these wonderful memories, while my mother threw an old photo album at my feet. It was awkward and distressing, requiring several relatives to calm things down and persuade my parents to leave. Bless her heart, my grandmother turned out to be my strongest supporter through all of this. She shared stories about how my grandfather had always been proud of my achievements and wanted to ensure all his grandchildren had equal opportunities. She even mentioned that Grandpa had maintained a scrapbook of my accomplishments, including newspaper clippings of my honors and copies of my college acceptance letters. It was bittersweet, as my parents had missed these important moments. My grandmother also volunteered to clarify the situation with the extended family. She organized a gathering that excluded my parents and laid out the entire history of their favoritism, including events I had long forgotten or never heard about. Having someone finally recognize the unfairness I endured for years was validating, but it also reopened old wounds regarding my sister. In this process, Amy finally found her voice. She came to me personally and apologized for not standing up for me earlier. After some soul-searching and several long conversations with our grandmother, she acknowledged that our parents' favoritism was wrong but admitted she had been too scared to confront it. We discussed our childhood and how it influenced both of us at great length and with much emotion. Amy admitted that being the favorite child wasn't as wonderful as it seemed. She never learned how to stand on her own 2 feet and felt great pressure to live up to our parents' expectations. She told tales of times she yearned to accomplish things independently, but our parents would swoop in and handle everything for her, depriving her of the opportunity to develop and learn from her mistakes. This talk marked a sea change for our relationship. We began to mend the sibling bond that our parents' favoritism had broken. Just the two of us have been routinely meeting for coffee to discuss and encourage one another through this family crisis. Declaring that she was going to pay for college with her inheritance astonished everyone. She claimed that seeing me stand up for myself motivated her to start managing her own life. Once she decided what she wanted to study, she registered at a nearby community college with the intention of transferring to a 4-year university. Our parents let out startled gasps. They realized that their babying had not done Amy any favors. The response from my parents has varied and changed. They initially attacked both of us angrily, trying to guilt Amy into quitting college to help the family, claiming that I turned her against them. They changed strategies when that proved ineffective. After several discussions with my grandmother and witnessing Amy's transformation, my mother began to recognize how damaging their actions had been. She has made some hesitant moves toward reconciliation, even beginning therapy to address her problems. She reached out to apologize, acknowledging that she had been unfair and requesting a chance to make things right. It's a slow process, and while I'm gently hopeful, I'm also maintaining strong boundaries. Sadly, my dad has been less likely to own any mistakes. Still furious, he feels like the victim in all this. He has been cold toward Amy since she chose to attend college and hardly speaks to me. He has tried a few times to control us, threatening to sell our childhood house if we don't come to our senses or forgive him. Though we are both standing strong, it hurts to see him distance himself from both of his children like this. The dynamics among the extended family have changed dramatically. I now live closer to my dad's siblings, who have been quite supportive, and my grandmother, having heard from my aunts and uncles about handling my dad's challenging behavior over the years, has lessened my loneliness in this fight. Deeper bonds with some of my cousins who stood by me have also developed. Starting a monthly cousin meal allows us to catch up, free from the drama of the older generations. For myself, I have been making wise use of my inheritance. After paying off my college loans, I now feel an amazing degree of financial freedom. Working with a financial advisor, I have assembled a diverse investment portfolio. I have also set aside some funds to potentially launch my own company in the coming years, focusing on opening a community center that offers reasonably priced mental health treatments and financial literacy seminars. However, buying therapy for myself and volunteering to do the same for Amy has been the most significant application of the money. Both of us are learning to set reasonable limits with our parents and are working on healing from our childhood experiences. Though it's a long road, I feel as though I'm developing the knowledge and ability to overcome emotional neglect and long-term favoritism. This whole process has brought some surprisingly positive changes into my life. I now know a great deal about establishing limits and defending myself. Although I know I did the right thing, it hasn't been easy, and there are still difficult days. I feel good about myself for resisting guilt and pressure. Among the most unexpected results has been a shift in my career path. Dealing with family conflict and undergoing therapy has helped me discover my passion for supporting others who have faced similar family dynamics. I am currently thinking about returning to school to specialize in working with adult children of emotionally immature parents and pursuing a career as a family therapist. I have also been helping young people from challenging family backgrounds at a nearby youth facility. Being able to offer the encouragement and support I wish I had as a child is immensely satisfying. I'm even considering creating a scholarship fund for children from similar circumstances using some of my inheritance. My contact with Amy has been improving. Once a month, we have a sibling day where we do something fun, just the two of us. Our hiking and picnic last month was the most relaxed and connected we've felt since we were small children. Without our parents' influence, we are gently reconstructing our bond on our own terms. Regarding my parents, things remain tricky. My mom has been trying to rebuild our relationship. She's been attending therapy and has begun to see some of the damage her favoritism caused. We have had a few one-on-one lunches where we discussed our past and our future direction honestly, though it hasn't been flawless. Improvement is evident. My dad still resists change, insisting he has done nothing wrong and that Amy and I should be appreciative. He refuses to be in the same room with me, missing several family functions. While it hurts, I am trying to let go of my need to compel him to see things differently or control his reactions. For both Amy and me, Grandma now serves as a rock. She has been sharing additional stories about our grandfather and his pride in us for advocating for ourselves. She always supports justice and understanding, making her a fantastic mediator in family matters. The entire process has imparted many lessons about the true meaning of family. I've come to see that sometimes the family you select might be more encouraging than the one you were raised in. Along with developing a close-knit circle of friends who have been quite helpful on this journey, I have grown closer to my aunts, uncles, and cousins who stood by me. Setting limits and practicing self-care have also become more crucial to me. I'm getting better at saying no to circumstances that compromise my mental health, and I no longer feel bad about giving my personal well-being top priority. I was so preoccupied with trying to achieve my parents' favor that I had always put off investigating new interests and hobbies. To those in similar circumstances, I would advise, don't let anyone make you feel bad about getting what is rightly yours. Even if it generates controversy, it's reasonable to defend yourself. Though family dynamics might be complex, you deserve fair treatment. Remember, it is never too late to begin developing the life you are due. Seek a therapist if necessary, surround yourself with encouraging people, and don't hesitate to establish limits. Who you are personally defines your value, not how your family treats you. I want to thank each of you once more for your suggestions and encouragement. It meant more than you would know during this really trying period. Although the road has not been simple, I am excited about the future and confident in the self-assurance I have not experienced in years. Where this new chapter of my life will lead excites me, and I am resolved to stop the pattern of favoritism and build better relationships in my own future family. Regarding my parents, things remain tricky. Our relationship has been trying to be rebuilt by my mom. She has been routinely attending therapy and has even begun to see some of the damage her favoritism caused. We have had a few one-on-one lunches where we had some honest, though challenging, talks regarding our past and future direction. Though it's not flawless, improvement is evident. My dad still objects to change. He insists he has done nothing illegal and that Amy and I should be appreciative. He refuses to be in the same room with me, so he has missed several family functions. Though it hurts, I am trying to let go of my need to compel him to see things differently or control his reactions. For both Amy and me, Grandma now serves as a rock. She has been sharing additional tales about our grandfather and his pride in us for advocating for ourselves. She always supports justice and understanding, making her a fantastic mediator in family matters. This whole process has imparted many lessons about the actual meaning of family. I've come to see that occasionally, the family you choose can be more supportive than the one you were raised in.